Yeah, I've been following that, but I think we just do this. Like, figure this out.
Interesting. Angry.
Is that yours?
Angry.
They do seem to be extremely sensitive.
Yeah. Oh, and now this thing's beeping at me. Good job, Allison. Everything was fine until you got here.
Scratching something over there.
It's just set up on.
Like a DJ
Oh, I think
booth.
it's good.
Oh, there you go.
Going, you know.
Sweet.
For whatever reason, it never just
Only if
automatically
we can do
comes
like
on.
It doesn't
sort of
want me
like
adjusted either.
hip
Yeah,
hop
today was the
country
first time
mix.
where both my kids were like,
Yeah.
I have to have a
Really into
laptop.
these.
It's becoming a thing.
It is.
Okay, I
It's
guess I just
becoming
won't
a
take my
thing.
laptop to the meeting.
I see hip hop artists
My work laptop's at work.
collaborating with
So-
country artists at concerts.
Yeah.
It's just weird, you know?
It's becoming a thing.
Joyce, can you hear me?
I say becoming. It is a thing.
It definitely has arrived.
It is a thing.
Are we good? Are we-
No.
No, you're probably not live quite yet.
Okay.
Let me see if I got a text. I apologize.
Bill, am I dreaming? I swear that I looked at the minutes and their name was wrong, and now when I looked at them today, they were right. Did you
I didn't
correct that?
look at them closely enough to be certain, but
Actually, we are live whenever you'd like to start.
Okay. Okay, well, let's call the February 24th, 2025 meeting of the Meridian Township Planning Commission to order at 6:31. Start with a roll call. Commissioner Rombach, not here. Commissioner Brooks,
Present.
Commissioner McConnell,
here.
Commissioner McCurtis,
Here.
Commissioner Snyder,
Here.
and I am here, Chair Shrewsbury. Okay, we would, at the point of public remarks, we have no public to give remarks, so I will skip to approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
McConnell, seconded by Commissioner McCurtis. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now approval of the minutes for the January 27th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Oh,
Apologies.
no worries.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner McCurtis, seconded by Commissioner Brooks. Any discussion? Okay. I thought, oh, yes, there is. On page 2, there are a couple of places where Commissioner McConnell's name is spelled with just one N instead of two in his last name. That just need to be corrected. I didn't see anything of substance, just a,
Absolutely.
okay.
Wow. Good catch, thank you.
Other than that, any other, before we vote, I will just make a note that Commissioner Rombach has joined us, so now we are at full strength. All in favor of approving the minutes with that minor amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved with the correction. Any communications?
We've received none.
Thank you very much. And we have no public hearings tonight, and we have no unfinished business, so I guess we are on to item 9A, discussion of section 86-755, schedule of requirements for parking space.
So this is, for those who don't know me, I'm Tim Schmidt, I'm the Community Planning Development Director.
We are glad to have you here with us tonight.
And you've been downgraded to me tonight. So Principal Player Shorkey and our illustrious intern, Mira Kinnaid, have been working on updates to the parking ordinance that staff had started some time ago and just really couldn't get traction. We finally got some time and some effort behind it, and I know that the Planning Commission has talked about this multiple times previously, and so this is sort of where we're at in terms of trying to get to the point of being able to introduce an ordinance. And so that's the hope, is that we are in a place that the Planning Commission is happy with, after this evening that we can introduce it at the next meeting and start this ball rolling. Ultimately, just so you know, from process procedure perspective, we will resolve this piece first, which is the numbers piece. And then staff has already started working on the secondary piece, which is the more technical side, the landscaping, the lighting, the size, the circulation, things like that. And we will bring that forward in a separate proposal 2, maybe 3 months down the road. And that will get us through the entirety of this section of the ordinance. And at that point, we will be about 3/5 of the way through the ordinance, updating it in my time here. And so the major changes, based on the previous conversations that I want to point out with, we took the 25% overflow in multifamily developments has been reduced, and the number of required spaces for the smallest apartments has been reduced from 2 to 1.5. This should have a major impact on reduction of just the sort of the extra parking that people see at certain developments that really never gets used. Some of the land uses in the list have been modernized. We've taken out obsolete terms, we've updated it to modern things, and we've simplified some of the calculations because some of them are really complicated even for us. So we're trying to make it so that the average person can read this. And so I'd be happy to get into any specifics. And in fact, I'll pull up the red line version so you can kind of see where we've been, and welcome any conversation the planning commission might have.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Curtis.
Yeah, thank you. When I was looking this over, I was trying to, I think I have an understanding of the 1.5 parking space, 1.5. And then I think that's page 8, but I believe on page 9, there's like 4.5 or something like that as well. Can you explain how for, and the red line is kind of hard, for like 1-bedroom unit,
Yeah.
you have 1.5, like how does, I'm assuming like if you have 1 bedroom, you have 1.5, then there's 2-bedroom.
It jumps.
Then it jumps to 3, but if you can explain that.
Yeah. So the way we've split it up this time is that currently it's 2 for multifamily, it's 2 for everything plus 25% overflow. Right? So we're taking out the overflow, and leaving, if it's 2 bedrooms or above, it's still 2 parking spaces, right? If you're under 2 bedrooms, so a studio or a 1 bedroom, it's only 1.5 spaces. And the idea behind that is, I may rent a 1 bedroom by myself, and Commissioner McConnell may rent a 1 bedroom with his partner. And so in that case, you may need 2 spaces, whereas I would only need 1 parking space. And so what that's trying to do is it's trying to weave that line of what the mix of unit type residence is going to be. So it provides a little bit more than 1 person, but not enough, not as much to like have a bunch of vacant spaces.
So it's there to just give you a little extra, not to necessarily say 1.5 parking space, like literally. It's so that the numbers can.
Yeah, it becomes more of a math problem as opposed to
Right.
trying to add in an extra 25%. And then,
I got you.
Yeah.
As I was reading it, it's not that we're going to have half a parking space, but for every 2 units, there would be 3 parking spaces.
yeah,
But this
that's
makes
what I
it a per 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you have 2, then jumps up to 3.
Yeah. It essentially just becomes a math ladder.
Right.
So my partner doesn't need a really narrow car.
Correct.
A bicycle. I'm guessing your partner would have a bicycle.
Right.
And I figured as much. I just wanted clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's helpful. Any other questions? No? As I said last time, this makes sense to me, and I trust a lot of the professional judgment of the staff. I appreciate the many times that staff has answered our questions around funny things that just sort of, oh, this is interesting, but ultimately, this seems to make sense, as I've read it. Commissioner McConnell?
Sorry, I glossed over the big picture for the details. In the staff memo, there was a mention of the total reduction in parking we expect these changes to generate in terms of reduction of impervious surface. Reduces impervious by removing 20. And I just wanted to underline that that is not a small part of our master plan. That's a goal. That's a specific objective that this change of parking ordinance works towards. And I just wanted to underline that.
And that reduction is a removal of a minimum requirement. But if a developer were to be creating a multifamily and an apartment and wanted to retain some or all of that 25%, negating what Commissioner McConnell just said. But if they said, wow, we expect our people to have guests and they're going to want to have a little bit more parking, there isn't a maximum that would prevent them from, is there anything that sets maximums that weren't there before?
Give me just a second to pull up that section of the code.
Thank you, sorry, I should have looked at this.
No, it's an excellent question. I just want to make sure that I have the right language as I'm giving it to you. Because we do have a provision for maximum amount of parking. Now, I will say that I have only had one project in my entire career hit that and want a variance from that, and that was Trader Joe's. And they knew exactly how much parking they needed. And, they literally got down to the smallest amount they thought was okay, and there were still people parked on Northwind Drive this weekend when I went. So typically, because parking doesn't pay taxes, parking doesn't bring in revenue generally. So generally, our commercial side is where the maximums exist. And so on the residential side, we don't have one of those currently. That's certainly something we can look into as part of the technical piece of this, if the board would like. The commission, I think, I don't think there's gonna be many people clamoring to put that additional 25% in, because that's, if you are quickly doing the math in my head, you're roughly 200 square feet per parking space, and if you assume 25 spaces on a 100 space lot, you're at an acre of additional land you need to find almost. So we could certainly look into that.
No.
Not sure that it's going to be a problem.
I wasn't suggesting, I was just wondering if there were any changes, and it doesn't look like there are because what's there. Okay, great, that answered my question. Does anyone else have any other questions on this, or are we ready to suggest it? Oh,
I do.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brooks.
So, Director Schmidt, I feel like we've talked about this a couple of times, but I'm just curious. So like, one of the things I asked last time was, did we talk to any local businesses about what their needs are from a zoning perspective like this? And the example I used was like the place of worship. And so we have in here one spot for each 5 fixed seats, or 10 linear feet of pews, or 30 square feet of assembly floor. Is that, so my question is, have we called any of these places still? Like, why are these the things that we're doing?
Why are these, I'm sorry,
Why are these the rules we're settling on in the ordinance versus something else? And our specific community's needs?
Yeah, so, it's a valid point. Certainly, we could recreate our own standards if we wanted to. What I think you're seeing, especially in the church example, the place of worship example, that's tied back to, in many ways, occupancy for the building. Like, because that 30 square feet represents something in the building code, and that linear feet of pews represents something. And so, in that case, at least, it's tying back to, okay, we assume 10 linear feet of pews is roughly a family, and they're gonna be in one car, right? And so we need one space for every 10 linear feet. All of the standards at one time or another tied back to something like that, right? If you really dove into when places established minimum parking for commercial spaces, it was based on the occupancy of the building back in the day. Because, if you had 10,000 square feet, you'd assume you could get a couple hundred people in there and smash them all in. Like playmakers during the annual sale time. But as we've changed, right, and I think that's why we're looking at this now, is that things have changed, right? Especially on the commercial and office side in many ways. You know, there was a time when a lot of communities sort of lumped all offices together, but if you look at like a medical office or a dental office, they're very clearly different than a call center or the electric company's offices, things like that. And so I think if there was certainly if there was a use where you thought there was some difference needed, we could absolutely look into that. But I think in terms of talking to businesses, I mean, we talk to business on a regular basis, and very rarely do our parking standards become a point of contention, right? Mostly what we hear is, yep, that's roughly about what we think we need. You know, Trader Joe's, like I said, is the only one I've had here where they were like, yeah, we really need more than that. We know we need more than that. They weren't wrong. It's really just for, you know, a couple days a month, they need more than that. They need like a magic second deck to appear a couple days a month.
And we did have a church that dramatically expanded its parking lot because all those pews were taken up by people who drove their own cars and they were clogging up mire.
Yep. That's actually one of the better examples we had recently. They definitely predated the ordinance and definitely needed to expand. They, you know, as they gained in relevance, they expanded their parking lot by a solid 30%, if I remember correctly, to meet sort of the modern standard for what they were seeing.
Yeah, I guess the thing I just keep struggling with is I'm like, we're making all these changes, and I'm not saying I'm gonna like dispute the decisions that the commission makes or the staff is recommending. I just like, it's hard to compare what we're recommending versus what we've had. And why, I still don't understand why each of the changes is being recommended and whether or not it's sort of achieving a purpose of parking space reduction. I mean, I get the ordinance simplification, and trying to do that. But then the other thing that I keep coming back to is like, I sort of want to know, like, what is the math behind each of these decisions? Like, is it really actually a reduction? Like, is like when we do this versus this, what's the outcome and the number of cars that can park in that spot?
Yeah, you could absolutely get to that. I mean, like just off the top of my head, the shopping center is greater than 50,000 square feet, right? Our proposal is to go to 1 to 400. It's a relatively modern standard, not too low that you're going to starve it, but you know, not so high that you have the sea of parking, right? And so that will automatically be a reduction from before, where it was essentially 1 for every 250 or 200 square feet. Right, so we can put some tangible numbers out there to show you on, especially the big changes, like what that looks like. We can do that.
Okay, thanks. I don't mean to be a thorn or to.
That's a good question. I mean, we're trying to explain this. If we're not telling our story well, we're not telling our story well.
Yeah,
Amiable thorn.
trying to be an
And I
amiable
think
thorn.
people in a public hearing will appreciate that kind of contextual information too. I mean, we've had the benefit of talking about this for a while, but if we still don't understand it and we're putting it out there for other people to consider, it's worth clarifying those kinds of things that there might be confusion around.
Thank you.
That actually brings me to one other question. When this goes out for public hearing, how does that get noticed? Because it's not like a public hearing around a geographic piece of property. So somebody who might be considering developing in the township, or, you know, for whom this would have some sort of immediate effect, like who might have an interest in this now, not theoretical, but and, you know, do you share it with the economic development team, and do they make sure that people are aware of it and can weigh in if they have because those would be the ones, you know, when you say, have you talked to businesses? Like, those would be the businesses that I'd want to make sure understood implications of a change that might matter. So
Absolutely.
I'm not suggesting going beyond our public notice process, because there is a state requirement for that, but making sure economic development is aware of this and can
Director Clark is well in the loop on this.
Okay.
And maybe the Corridor Improvement Authority as
Oh,
well.
yep, there you go.
I believe she's brought it up to the CIA and the EDC, or the DDA, one of the two. I can't remember which one. I
Okay.
apologize.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, so we'll just come back to us when you're ready to bring it forward for a
So
public hearing.
if it's the indulgence of the commission, we will probably notice this for public hearing at this point to start the official ball rolling. Okay.
I think that is.
And we will bring forward tangible, comparisons. Not all of them are gonna have a good comparison, but like there are enough of them in there, I can quickly do the math and show, hey, we're gonna save 5% here and 12% here. kind of-
That's all I want to see.
Yeah, perfect.
That's literally just very basic.
Perfect.
Thank you. You don't need a vote from us or anything.
We do not.
Okay, excellent, thank you. All right. With that, we are down to 10A, Township Board Update.
Uniquely, this was the first meeting I hadn't had to go to the township board in well over a year. So thank you. I appreciate you guys for just give me a little break there. We will be taking the W Road rezoning to the board at the next meeting, consistent with the request that the applicant made, I believe, at their last planning commission meeting where they stated that they would be out of town and we will not be proceeding until March. So we will be taking that forward in March, which we are preparing that packet now. Yep, that's next week. And then the board is getting ready to, tomorrow night in this room will be the next, the second to last senior center task force meeting. I bring it up to the planning commission only because the board will be making some decisions on that in April. And so if you do have feedback on that, you will see it eventually. But if you'd like to have any feedback now, you are entering the time where that would be well heard.
And that's tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night is the task force meeting. Tomorrow night we will be discussing, and the packets are on the website. We largely will be discussing tomorrow night, operations and costs for the new facility. And then at the March meeting, which is March 11th, if I remember correctly, we will be discussing sort of the whole package. Here's the conceptual design, here's the conceptual cost, and the task force is charged with making a decision, making a recommendation to the board on either a senior center only or a senior community center. And so that recommendation will then be heard by the board, likely at their first meeting in April, and the board needs to make a decision on how to proceed within the month of April.
Great,
And that's all I have for this evening.
thank you. I'm assuming, I guess we're down to 10B liaison reports.
Sure, I'll kick off. I think I mentioned before that the Environmental Commission is going through a change of staffing from the township. And I had a nice meeting with Deputy Manager Opsmer this afternoon with a couple of young engineers who are going to be helping us with a couple of very specific tasks in terms of our green space plan, our climate sustainability plan. And I'm very enthused that the Commission is going to be making forward progress on some of our goals this year.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The ZBA met, what was the date? February 19th. And we heard the DTN zoning variance request, or the variance request for their Grand Reserve project. And we did approve all five of their, basically where the deck placements were from the wetland setback that they needed. I probably just butchered explaining that.
I will only add, because the ZBA did an excellent job on this, that it was substantially reduced from their initial request, which I told them personally 2 years ago was not gonna get approved. So, we
Yeah.
finally got there.
Yeah. Yeah. You can watch the video if you desire to hear my questions and comments.
Any other updates? It just flashed back to me that I'm looking at the minutes from our last meeting where it says that we have not yet designated anybody to represent us on the brownfield Authority, and that's in part because we don't have anybody whose schedule can accommodate the schedule of the Brownfield Authority.
Okay.
So I don't know that we're gonna be in a better place tonight to do that either, but, I guess, I talked a little bit to Mr. Sharkey at the last meeting about what does this mean to us, and, you know, because they said they don't always meet, and like what can we do? And we were gonna follow up on it, and we have not yet done that, so, I should probably talk to you or him, or we should somehow to figure out what options there are for us on this.
When is it again?
It's Thursday mornings.
Oh,
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally got him to move it to 9 o'clock, and now I'm having a hard time getting people to go. Let me, Chairperson Shrewsbury, let me follow up on that tomorrow. Let me talk to Director Clark, and we'll put our heads together and see what options we have available to us.
All right, if you need me to weigh in on anything besides saying we can't do it, I'm happy to have a conversation with you about.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to be represented, but I know we have a vacancy on this board, so it might be a priority to find a new commissioner who might be interested, willing, have a skill set for that. I don't want that to be the only criteria, but
Understood.
if that could be a double bonus, that would be awesome.
Understood.
Any other liaison reports?
I have another question about that one, because I'm interested in the brownfield issue, but so it's 9 o'clock, what is the time period that it usually has? Is it like
1 hour. They're pretty prompt.
and it's monthly?
It is monthly.
But as they don't meet very often.
So it very much is on a project cycle basis, right? We've had several months off. They're getting ready to potentially be taking up this concept of whether or not, how we modify the Hazlet Village Square at Brownfield to move the project forward. And so it's likely that they will start to meet more regularly. It's a hard one to predict.
Okay.
And I've heard the paperwork can be a bear.
Oh,
It's
Right.
very,
There's state paperwork on top of township.
staff does we will try to keep you as informed as possible. Share you and paperwork.
so what you're saying is you learn a lot while you're doing it.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I've heard it's very interesting.
I have probably learned more from Brownfield than anything else in my career, but a lot of it is getting beat over the head with numbers, so.
And we wouldn't have Joe's on Jolly without it.
You know what? They're finally moving.
And it's here? At the
It's
township?
here, yes.
Okay. I'm interested, but let me talk to somebody and I'll,
Talk to somebody.
I understand, and I will, I'm gonna discuss with Director Clark what our options are, and,
yeah,
whether or not there's an opportunity even to appoint, staff liaison for meetings where, a vote isn't necessary or something like that. So we'll look into it.
Thank you. And I'm assuming that the township board's meeting that I wasn't able to attend went well, everybody?
I tried to make you guys sound as amazing as I possibly could.
Okay.
And
I also couldn't
Oh,
attend.
I didn't
so-
know that. Okay, I'm sorry, and I know a couple other people couldn't either. Thank you.
Dr. Schmidt did an excellent job of extolling our virtues and all of
Great.
our
That's
accomplishments.
probably better
Even
than
through some
we've
of their
been
life.
here,
That's
so.
great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So unless there's anything else, I'll go to number 11, project updates. I saw that there was a,
so, the only thing I would offer at this point, if you haven't been by, Meyer, they've very quickly demoed their canopy and have started work. They have a very tight timeline, and that contractor seems determined to hit it. Which tells me just how popular that place is. No, from the board's perspective, you're going to see the last of the adult use marijuana SUPs back at the next meeting. And on the horizon, I can tell you that we've started having conversations with the developer with respect to the next phases of Copper Creek. And so I expect you'll see that conceptual design at some point. My guess is summer. on that, given the state of the concept was pretty light when we saw it. And future phases of Silverleaf, future phases of Grand Reserve, not Grand Reserve, Newton Point, are getting ready to start kicking off as well. The market is still very robust, so we're going to keep moving. And it is likely that, I suspect you will see a change to the Hazlet Village Square plan. Positive change, but a change nonetheless. We don't have the details on that yet, so I don't know whether it's an administrative or whether it will come to the board.
Any questions? Okay. And then we are down to public remarks. We still have no public. Commissioner comments. Any comments?
Maybe one.
Good.
I did attend the Township Joint Boards and Commissions meeting and told everyone there that it's one of my favorite nights of the year. It basically is just hearing exactly what every other board and commission has been up to and what they've accomplished and what they've struggled with and how they're moving forward. But always a big theme of the evening is all the volunteer service that's behind all that stuff. And that makes it kind of magical. And I wrote something really schmaltzy afterwards that I'll share with you all offline. But basically, what I was saying is that we hear a lot these days about waste and fraud and abuse in government, and yet it's not working for us and everything. But what happened last week is the model of open government, transparent, open, citizen-driven government. And I take heart in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't say enough about the times that I have attended that meeting. I learn a lot, and you always hear about the awards that Meridian Township wins for being a community that people want to live in and that does well for its citizens. And that meeting is a great example of kind of laying it all out on the table for you to see what's there and what, I think you forget if you're in your little pocket of a neighborhood. It's like, oh, it's this and it's that. But really, the community that comprises Meridian Township has a lot going on, and we're very lucky to have the resources that we have and the people that we have willing to put their volunteer time into, and the staff to make it work. So it's great. Thank you. Any other comments?
No, my comment is, I'm sorry I missed it. I wanted to be there for my second one, but I wasn't able to make it. I was in Florida.
It was recorded. Finish yourself.
But I wanted to be there.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been there, but now I just said like I saw my credit card bill from Disney.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
I think it's going to pay for my next vacation. Though.
Great.
It's an investment.
Yeah, there you go. That'll look at a positive side.
At least take care of all of your flights.
Yeah. I think Sedona's calling our name.
Ooh. Slide Rock State Park.
Anything else? Okay, then.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at 7:03. Thank you.